I grew up in Salina, Kansas. Not many people do. Right in the middle of the country, where the rolling limestone formations of the Flint Hills begin to flatten out to the plains, and where there are very few people and even fewer trees. Here's my story in brief. My parents didn't go to college. My father started out as a laborer, finally became a small entrepreneur. I had a terrible speech impediment as a child. I could not really talk. In many ways, my home life and school life was very difficult. I will never forget November 22, 1963, the day that President Kennedy was shot. I was in 6th grade, and I realized that the country was struggling, as was I. My resources were limited. I began to worry that the country's was limited too. I had one inspiration in those years: the incredible skies of Kansas, where you could imagine the world and your life being set anew and set aright. I liked to, in high school and college, go outside of Salina, where the hills are just getting really squished, as flat as a pancake. And I like to take walks and look in the skies. You could imagine, you could see anew. In college, when I was beginning to learn more about the world and learn more about myself, I liked to go out before dawn. I'd drive out, I'd get out of my car, and I'd stand there and watch. Slowly, the night would start to move just slightly. The air would start to lift. And then the streaks would come: orange, red, blue, purple. Before you knew it, the sky would be ablaze with color. It was like watching the world being born anew every day. It set the arena, those skies, for the dreams of possibility, of hope, for myself and for the society. The dawn meant a lot to me in those years. It gave me great inspiration. It allowed me to see new possibilities. After attending college and becoming an academic, now 40 years later, I realized those dawns for me were allowing me to use what I was learning in college to dream, to create, to cultivate a moral imagination for the good society. Today, I want to talk about the art and science of a moral imagination for a good society. I want to talk about what it is, why we have it, and one institution that nurtures it for us. A moral imagination is about a society setting itself anew, setting itself aright. It's about a society using justice and goodness to address its ills, to create its wrongs, to imagine a new future. The moral imagination is not something you can buy. It's not a consumer good. It's not something you can purchase online. To my knowledge, there's not even an app for it. It's not really objective. You can't go to a vocational school or professional school and major in the moral imagination. It's not subjective either. It's not about a feeling. It's about knowledge and virtue. It's about art and science. Many times in our country, we have used the imagination to address our ills and to cast forward new possibilities. Think of Thomas Jefferson and the Declaration of Independence, or Lincoln and the abolition of slavery and the preservation of the Union, or Roosevelt and the New Deal, or Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement and the beloved community. Now we live in such a time again, a time where we face incredible ills, wrongs, healthcare, education, the economy, poverty. The list goes on and on. If we are to address these ills, we have got to stoke the fires of the moral imagination. We have got to dream forward of ourselves as a good society. Now, great ideas need institutions to carry them, to nurture them, to protect them, to feed them. One such institution for the moral imagination are our liberal arts colleges, a unique American institution for a unique dream of freedom. These colleges, small colleges, are about educating leaders and citizens to guide the good society. I believe if we're going to address our ills, if we're going to continue our tradition of being a good society, of struggling to be a good society, we need to look to these liberal arts colleges. Audacious? Yes, it's an audacious claim, as audacious as the skies providing someone like me inspiration. Courageous? Yes, as courageous as Lincoln and King, who 100 years apart, a Midwestern farm kid and a Southern preacher's kid, helping our society address its ills and have a new vision. And bold? It's as bold as Jefferson, who said, I look to the diffusion of light and education as a resource to be relied upon for ameliorating the condition, for promoting the virtue, and for advancing the happiness of men and women. These liberal arts colleges are the treasures of our future. They are hard-working incubators. They're engines of imagination. They really are uniquely American. Now we're seeing the reality of colleges and universities from all over the world coming to the US to study these small colleges. 16 years after the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Harbor, they started Harvard College. As the frontier expanded into the West, every time a community could get enough critical mass of people, they started a liberal arts college. In the 1860s, the land-grant institutions were started to address the needs of a good society, to cultivate leaders for the moral society. Time and time again, as this country has evolved, as this country has had needs to face, the liberal arts college has evolved to cultivate leaders and citizens to serve the good society. In a country that is fractured, in a society that seems lost, in a world where we need to invent ourselves, look to these small liberal arts colleges for inspiration, for hope, for a vision. Look to them for a technological, multicolored horizon of hope. Now, these colleges are changing, and they need to change more. Indeed, one of the things I really love about these small liberal arts colleges in our country, these little gemstones of moral imagination, is that they have this incredible ability to continue the traditions, the best of the traditions, even as they innovate to address new possibilities and address needs. Critics say that these are old-fashioned places, outdated. I mean, after all, faculty with students in a classroom sitting around table, face to face. Students and faculty knowing each other by their names. Students talking outside of the classroom about great ideas. In this web-based age, utterly old-fashioned. And it's not just the faculty and students, there's also the residential component. Almost all of the students in a liberal arts college live on or near the campus. They're engaged in athletics, in student government, in civil service, in all sorts of activities. They're building the common good. And as they learn to build the common good, they're figuring out how their passion serves the common good, how they fit in the individual together with the community. They're honing their moral virtues. They're honing their ability to lead. They're honing their ability to belong, but also to be an individual. Now, these liberal arts colleges are undergoing tremendous change. They are incubators of their own future, as well as the future of this country. Let me give you just two examples of the change I see going on. It's not a change from, I would say, it's an expansion, and it's really fascinating. The 20th century was about individual learning, about mastery, about studying deep and down and learning the rules of the discourse. John Seeley Brown calls it the Cartesian era of learning. Well, the 21st century expands on that to what John Seeley Brown calls participatory learning, where students and faculty together learn by creating a community of learners, learn by participating, learn by doing. Let me give you one example. Sharon Friedler, a faculty member at Swarthmore College, teaches a course called The Arts and Social Change. Now, this course is a faculty member and students, but it's also the Chester Children's Course, which is 125 or more children from Chester, an underprivileged community. These children are what John Alston, the director of the choir, calls strivers and achievers. So they're in this class with Swarthmore students. There's a local dance company. There's our orchestra in residence, Orchestra 2001, and then an artist as well. These all come together to use arts for social change. These people dance, they draw, they build community, they imagine together. They draw up on sociology, psychology, politics. You can imagine all the disciplines, but they do it to create and cultivate a moral imagination for a good society. Now, I can list lots and lots of other examples at Swarthmore College or at other liberal arts college. Faculty and students creating democratic communities by comparing two communities and how they cultivate democracy. Faculty members teaching statistics by having students serve nonprofit organizations. In all these ways, students are learning knowledge as applied, as problem-based, as participatory, in the context of developing community for the mission of creating social change, moral imagination, and a good society. But the students aren't doing this only in class. They're also doing it outside of class, in forms of civic engagement in the US and all around the world. Take one of our grads, Rosanna Summer, class of 2010, who when she was here, served in Venezuela with Paymon Healthcare. She was helping a village, an indigenous village, address issues of healthcare, of environmental issues, of sanitation. She and the other Swarthmore students worked side by side to help this community address its ills, set its world anew, imagine a new future for itself. The students in liberal arts colleges are learning the best of the tradition, but also expanded new ways of learning and doing and being. They're learning to create the good society. Now, of course, we don't always agree with them. Sometimes they seem a little naive or idealistic. That's fine. They're learning to cultivate the future of this country and the future of this world. Now, in closing, I want to suggest three phrases I hope you can remember, because they're the phrases that are key to the liberal arts cultivating the moral imagination for the good society. The first phrase is knowledge design. This is really what we're about in the liberal arts colleges. We're helping our students not become vocational learners. We're helping them learn to design knowledge that can improve the world. We're teaching them the disciplines and the traditional ways of learning, but we're also expanding their ability to use knowledge to design a better future. The Institute for Liberal Arts at Swarthmore College is being created both so our faculty can come together and innovate, explore, discuss new ways of teaching students, but also so that students and faculty and people from all around the world can come to incubate these ideas of a good society, can use their moral imagination to address the ills of the day. 21st century models of community. I don't know what you worry about, but often at the end of the day, what I worry about is, do we have models of community that will get us to endure in the 21st century? As Robert Putnam, Harvard professor and Swarthmore grad, says, we are bowling alone in this society. We have got to create new models. At Swarthmore College, we're dedicating ourselves to an intentional community that focuses on diversity and inclusivity, sustainability, and civil discourse. We've got to find ways in a democracy to build strong community. Third, innovative and ethical leaders. Liberal arts colleges such as Swarthmore have all sorts of wonderful programs, Lang Opportunity Scholars, the Evans Scholars, and other ways to help our students learn the obligations and the possibilities of being ethical and moral leaders. So in closing, the good society needs moral imagination. Liberal arts colleges cultivate the moral imagination. That's what we do through all sorts of knowledge, all sorts of being, all sorts of doing. When I look at the troubles and I think of the opportunities, I have confidence, like I had confidence back in Kansas, that these small liberal arts colleges will continue to cultivate the moral imagination for our good society. Thank you.